Krishna dear devotees, my humble obeisances to you all, our to Srila Prabhupada. I welcome you all to His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Thank you all for joining. Today we are having Her Grace Sridevi Mataji to enlighten us on this topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 13th chapter, verse number 23. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, all to Srila Prabhupada. You can please take over, Mataji. Mataji, I have a small request. I can't screen share today. Can you please take over, Mataji?
Okay.
Thank you.
I will screen share for us and let you the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Praeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. My dear spirit souls, fellow spirit souls, Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindubhya evacha, patita nam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I pray that all of you are well and happy in Krishna consciousness, and I humbly request for your blessings, so that I may be given intelligence, given knowledge, given good, clear speech, good memory recall, so that I can enliven you and hopefully enlighten all of us, myself included. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So we are continuing our reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13. And in this particular verse, very strongly, Vidur is speaking to Dhritarashtra. We will see what happens now. Let's see. I think I have to move the screen a little bit. Hopefully you can see the Sanskrit. There we go. Aho mahiyasi jantor jivitasha yatha bhavan bhima pavarjitam pindam adate grihapalavat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Alas, how powerful are the hopes of a living being to continue his life. Verily, you are living just like a household dog and are eating remnants of food given by Bhima. Purport. A sadhu should never flatter kings or rich men to live comfortably at their cost. A sadhu is to speak. I'm not able to see, one second. To the householders about the naked truth of life, so that they may come to their senses about the precarious life in material existence. Dhritarashtra is a typical example of an attached old man in household life. He had become a pauper in the true sense, yet he wanted to live comfortably in the house of the Pandavas, of whom Bhima is especially mentioned, because personally Bhima killed two prominent sons of Dhritarashtra, namely Duryodhan and Dushasan. These two sons were very much dear to him for their notorious and nefarious activities, and Bhima is particularly pointed out because he killed these two pet sons. Why was Dhritarashtra living there at the house of the Pandavas? Because he wanted to continue his life comfortably, even at the risk of all humiliation. Vidur, therefore, was astonished. How powerful is the urge to continue life? This sense of continuing one's life indicates that the living being is eternally a living entity and does not want to change his bodily habitation. The foolish man does not know that a particular term of bodily existence is awarded to him to undergo a term of imprisonment, and the human body is awarded after many, many births and deaths as a chance for self-realization to go back home, back to Godhead. But persons like Dhritarashtra try to make plans to live there in a comfortable position with profit and interest, for they do not see things as they are. Dhritarashtra is blind and continues to hope to live comfortably in the midst of all kinds of reverses of life. A sadhu like Vidur is meant to awaken such blind persons and thus help them go back to Godhead where life is eternal. Once going there, no one wants to come back to this material world of miseries. We can just imagine how responsible a task is entrusted to a sadhu like Mahatma Vidur. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Candramauli Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So now here Vidur is talking to Dhritarashtra. What is Dhritarashtra saying? What is Vidur saying? I'm sorry. Vidur is saying to Dhritarashtra, wake up. Where are you living and how are you living? He has just been completely defeated by the Pandavas. In fact, he has lost all 100 of his sons. He has conspired actively to kill the Pandavas. He has agreed with his sons to finish the Pandavas through so many varieties of ways. They cheated them in the gambling match. They took away their kingdom. They committed all kinds of horrible atrocities. They tried to set their house on fire. They gave poison to Bhima. And then finally, they had this great big war in which millions of soldiers lost their lives. He's completely defeated by the Pandavas. He's lost not just his 2 pet sons, but all 100 sons. Such a person should not even think of coming and staying with the opposite party, right? You've killed my sons, you've finished all of them, you've made me a pauper. But yet, because he wants to live comfortably, he's swallowing all the humiliations meted out to him, and he has come like a beggar to Yudhishthir Maharaj's palace, and he's living there very comfortably because Yudhishthir Maharaj is very compassionate and very respectful of his senior uncle because he is the senior uncle. So just because they were trying to maintain Vaishnava etiquette, Vidur tells Dhritarashtra, should you live like a household dog, eating the remnants of whatever these people give them and suffering the taunts of Bhima? Because Bhima could not tolerate. Bhima could not keep quiet. Even though Yudhishthir Maharaj was very respectful and all the others were very respectful, Bhima could not tolerate the presence of Gandhari and Dhritarashtra, and every chance he got, he would taunt them. He would taunt them. Why you are living like this? Who are you? What have you done to us before? And how you are living like at our cost? So he made them feel very much the pain of living as guests of Yudhishthir Maharaj. He never let them forget it for one moment also, that they are living at the mercy of the Pandavas. So Vidur knew all this. And though he was on pilgrimage, he knew exactly what was happening. And so he came especially to deliver his brother from this mire of illusion that he was in. Like, how long are you going to live like this? Anyway, your body is deteriorating. Your teeth have become loose. Your liver is defective. You're coughing up mucus. your intelligence is going, your memory is going, your hard of hearing. Like this, he lists out all his physical challenges and tells him, you're growing old now. If you die like this, what will happen? You'll again come back in another human form. Why take birth again and again? The real purpose of the human form of life is to permanently put a solution to the problems of living in this material world, which is birth, death, diseases, and old age. What are you doing over here? Wake up, get up, do something to make your life successful. So like this, he very severely rebukes him, taunts him, and tries to wake him up to the reality. And sadhus do that. Sadhu means one who speaks the truth. And why does he do that? Because he wants to deliver the conditioned souls. He's not doing it out of false ego or to, out of a desire to attack the other person and humiliate him. He's doing it to wake him up. This is the duty of sadhu. He wants to wake up the conditioned souls. He wants to bring them to their senses. But people don't like it. People are so attached to their way of life. They're so attached to their material house, relatives, home, bodies, bank balance, situations. Their, so many different things in the material world that they don't like it when the sadhu says, wake up, all this is illusion. You're going to die and you're going to take birth again. So stop this nonsense materialistic activities and take to the devotional service of the Lord. They actually shun such a person. They don't like to hear these words because they are so attached to their materialistic way of life. But still, does the sadhu give up? No, he continues speaking even at the risk of his life. Even Prajapati Daksha, he got so angry with Narad Muni for showing the sons of Prajapati Daksha the path of devotional service that he cursed Narad Muni. And that time, Srila Prabhupada says, preaching is a thankless task, and yet the preacher must go on. So I will read out to you one of the quotes of Srila Prabhupada. Preaching can be a difficult, thankless task, but a preacher must follow the orders of the Supreme Lord and be unafraid of materialistic persons. So I will screen share so that you can see the words actually, how severe are the restrictions imposed by materialistic people. They don't want devotees to share this knowledge, but still the devotees go on nevertheless. So now Narad Muni is being criticized heavily. By whom? By Daksha. Because twice he has prevented the sons of Daksha from procreating and has turned them to the renunciate path of life. So here he says, all the devotees of the Lord, but you are very kind to the conditioned soul and are eager to benefit others. Although you wear the dress of a devotee, you create enmity with people who are not your enemies, or you break friendship and create enmity between friends. Are you not ashamed of posing as a devotee while performing such abominable actions? And so Prabhupada writes, such are the criticisms that must be borne by the servants of Narad Muni in the disciplic succession. Through the Krishna consciousness movement, we are trying to train young people to become devotees and return home back to Godhead by following rigid regulative principles. But our service is appreciated neither in India nor abroad in the Western countries, where we are endeavoring to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. In India, the caste Brahmanas have become enemies of the Krishna consciousness movement because we elevate foreigners who are supposed to be Mlechas and Yavanas to the position of Brahmanas. We train them in austerities and penances, recognize them as Brahmanas by awarding them sacred threads. Thus, the caste Brahmanas of India are very displeased by our activities in the Western world. In the West also, the parents of the young people have become our enemies. We have no business creating enemies, but the process is such that non-devotees will always be inimical towards us. Nevertheless, as stated in the Shastras, a devotee should be both tolerant and merciful. Devotees engaged in preaching should be prepared to be accused by ignorant persons, yet they must be very merciful to the fallen conditioned souls. So, what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? In 1868, he says, for one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end, he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. Let us continue preaching the message of Lord Krishna and not be afraid of enemies. Our only duty is to satisfy the Lord by this preaching, which will be accepted as service by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna. We must sincerely serve the Lord and not be deterred by so-called enemies. So therefore, preaching is a thankless task, but actually a preacher is a devotee of every living entity. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. But they are misunderstood by those who want to carry on with what? Materialistic activities. So because a preacher will sometimes take away a son or a daughter to the Krishna consciousness movement, the parents become very upset and unhappy. They say, what is this Krishna consciousness movement? It is teaching these children to go astray, neglect their parental duties, neglect building the business empire that I have planned for them. And they've joined this Krishna consciousness movement. They're out in the streets distributing books and doing all kinds of things, living like beggars in the temple. And so they get very angry and upset. But actually, they're doing the highest welfare work for society because they're releasing the conditioned soul from the cycle of birth and death by giving the supreme knowledge to the whole world. So preaching is not so easy. It is a very difficult task because at every turn, we will face opposition, we will face insults, we will face dishonor, we will face criticism, but still the sadhu is not deterred by all these things and he carries on with these activities just to deliver the conditioned souls. Why does a devotee do this? Why does a devotee want to do this? Why? Because devotional service is so sweet. It's so pleasing and it brings real happiness. And so devotee wants to share this with the whole world. They want to tell everyone, come, join in this movement, serve the Supreme Lord, be happy. Srila Prabhupada said, chant and be happy. But people don't understand the value of this movement and they get very upset with the preachers because they're taking the normal people, the so-called normal people from the normal way of life, so-called normal way of life, but they're giving them the highest knowledge, how to break out of the cycle of birth and death. So Daksha gets very angry with Narad. He says, you have made me lose my sons once and you have done it the same inauspicious thing again. Therefore, you are a rascal who does not know how to behave towards others. You may travel all over the universe, but I curse you. You have no residence anywhere. You will see this in the 6th canto, chapter 5. Narad Muni is getting cursed. In fact, the whole chapter is entitled Narad Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha. Why? Because he taught his sons the path of devotional service. So, this is the problem with what? With people who have no understanding. They curse even the sadhus. They curse the saintly people. But does that stop the saintly people? No. What does Prabhupada say? Nevertheless, Narad Muni never gives up his mission to deliver as many fallen souls as possible. He continues playing his musical instrument and vibrating the transcendental sound, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So no matter what curses come, what opposition come, what criticism comes, what insults come, what dishonor comes, and even at the risk of death, the preacher continues to speak the great message of the Lord. Why? Because he wants to wake up the people to devotional life. Jeev Jago. Lord Chaitanya says, Jeev Jago, wake up. How long you've been sleeping on the lap of which Maya? Wake up and come to real life. What is real life? Real life means understanding who you are. Part and parcel of Krishna. You are eternal, blissful, full of knowledge, completely happy and joyful. And the joy is ever increasing every moment because you are in love with Krishna, you're in love with the devotees, you're in love with devotional service, and you simply want to give more and more happiness to Guru and Krishna and devotees. So a preacher becomes very joyful. Srila Prabhupada said a preacher is very jolly. He used the word jolly. Why? Because he or she is tasting the sweetness, the bliss of devotional service. And having tasted it, he wants to give it to others. But the people don't understand it, they don't realize it, they don't appreciate it. Does that mean that the preacher stops? No. Saintly people go on. And it is actually because of the tireless efforts of these great saints that today we have the knowledge we have today. What would have happened if Srila Prabhupada had stopped in his tracks and saying, oh, this is too hard, I'm going back to India? What would have happened to us? Just think. Would we know anything of Krishna? Would we know who we really are? We would go on struggling in the same cycle of birth and death. So these are great reformers. They are pure devotees of the Lord, and they have come to give the message of the Lord to all the common people and give them the knowledge by which they can become free. So Vidur, let me go back to the verse so that we know where we are. So because the urge to continue living is so strong in the living entity. And this is natural because we want eternal life. Nobody wants to die. See, Vidur says, he was astonished how powerful is the urge to continue life. This sense of continuing one's life indicates that a living being is eternally a living entity and does not want to change by dying. Nobody wants to die, but we are forced to die. Nobody wants to grow old, but we are forced to grow old. And this is actually a term of imprisonment in a particular material body, whatever it may be. And we complete that term of imprisonment and we just go on to another body, which is another term of imprisonment. But having come to the human form of life, which is the highest, one can use one's intelligence to think, how many times am I going to do this? I have finally achieved this human form of life after many births. Why should I come back again and again and struggle in this material world where instead of going back to Krishna, where my eternal life full of bliss and knowledge, which is ever increasing, is waiting for me. So this is a chance, my dear spirit souls, to make that bid for breaking out of the cycle of birth and death and going back home, back to Godhead. Not to continue on and on trying to live comfortably over here, because there's no such thing as living comfortably here. We're going to be forced to grow old. We're going to be forced to combat so many kinds of diseases and problems. In fact, this material body is such an embarrassment. We have to run every few hours to the bathroom to pass. We have to, wake up sometimes several times in the night just to use the loo. All kinds of nasty things this material body does to us. Why should we go on suffering like this? This is such a tormenting condition to be in. To be in the material body is a very difficult existence. Compare that to eternal life. Compare that to a spiritual body. There's no comparison. So we have to open our eyes and wake up to the truth. Dhritarashtra is blind. So Vidur has come to wake him up. See, it is said over here. A sadhu like Vidur is meant to awaken such blind persons and thus help them to go back home, back to Godhead, where life is eternal. Once gone there, no one wants to come back to this material world of miseries. We can just imagine how responsible a task is entrusted to a sadhu like Mahatma Vidur. Krishna also says, Janmanam, what is that? Janma karma cha me divyam yo janati tatvataha tatva deham punarjanma naiti mamiti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my form and my activities never takes birth in this material world again, but goes back home, back to Godhead. Let's look at that. Bhagavad Gita 4:9. I will just pull it up for you, and you can see what a beautiful purport Srila Prabhupada explains, that one who goes back never comes back to this world of suffering. So one should be captivated by this knowledge. In the 15th chapter, 6th verse, he says, one should be captivated by this knowledge. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvataha takva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So you see what a great boon comes simply by becoming a devotee. I'm going to repeat it out over here. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning to this material world. See how great a gift Prabhupada has given us. This is called the matchless gift that Prabhupada has given us to go back home, back to Godhead. What a wonderful gift we have received. The gift of devotional service, the gift of pure loving connection to Krishna, the gift of eternal life in Vaikuntha or the Golok Vrindavan, where we can regain our connection with Krishna. We can see Krishna face to face. Srila Prabhupada's promise is there that one who follows this process will see Krishna face to face. That is not a small thing. That is a very big thing, to see God face to face. How can we get to see God face to face? By following the process, by following the footsteps of the great devotees, by strictly following the 4 regulative principles, chanting the holy names, and following the process of bhakti as given to us by the spiritual master. We can actually purify our life. We can actually become successful. We can actually attain perfection. And even in this material body, we can taste nectar. Yes, it's possible to become fully spiritualized, even though we are in this material body. Let me share with you one particular verse so that this will become very clear. It is 14:20. We'll go to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, verse number 20, where Srila Prabhupada is saying, a devotee can taste nectar even while in this material life. Let's go straight to the translation. When the embodied being is able to transcend these 3 modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. How one can stay in the transcendental position, even in this body, in full Krishna consciousness, is explained in this verse. The Sanskrit word dehi means embodied. Although one is within this material body, by his advancement in spiritual knowledge, he can become free from the influence of the modes of nature. He can enjoy the happiness of spiritual life even in this body, because after leaving this body, he's certainly going to the spiritual sky. But even in this body, he can enjoy spiritual happiness. In other words, devotional service in Krishna consciousness is the sign of liberation from material entanglement. This will be further explained in chapter 18. So we can see how many wonderful gifts have come by way of Srila Prabhupada's mercy upon the conditioned fallen souls. First, to engage in loving service, then to perfect our lives, then even within this material body, attaining full Krishna consciousness, and in the end, going back home, back to Godhead. So the process is blissful in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, and the ultimate fruit is going back home, back to Godhead. So it is sublime and wonderful start to finish. So thank you all for listening patiently. I hope we don't remain blind like Dhritarashtra. We open our eyes and wake up to the gift that Guru and Krishna are giving us, and make our life successful by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and go back home, back to Godhead. Thank you all so very much. We can open up for questions now. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions, comments? I see my god sister Namrata there.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our Gurudev. And all glories to my wonderful god sister there in Mira Road and her wonderful son.
All glories to you, Mataji.
I'm breaking your
We're taking
instructions to me. Namrata has ordered me. Please don't glorify me. Please don't say anything nice about me. But I cannot help it. What can I do? Oh my God, family is wonderful. What can I do? We just met Krishna Balaram and his beautiful wife Kavita and their wonderful son Ram Das in ISKCON Nashik, and that was another wonderful experience Krishna gave us, isn't it, Namrata?
Yes, yes, totally. I could not forget Nasik temple. They are very beautiful deities, very beautiful parampara system. I was totally captivated by that.
Yeah, and I was so amazed because this is the first temple where I've seen Namacharya Haridas Thakur on the altar in the disciplic succession. So I was totally enchanted that this is a temple which is recognizing how important it is to worship Namacharya Haridas Thakur by having him on the altar. Very nice. Very nice.
Yes. Mataji, my question was, can we take up the 14.9, the last translation that you mentioned, in which you didn't share the picture? You didn't share the page, I think, but okay.
Oh, sorry. Let me do that. Just now, which the last verse which I read out about this one?
Yeah. Having nectar even whilst you are in the material world.
Yes. Yes, here it is. Can you see it?
Yes, yes, yes. Transcend three modes associated with the material. Okay, so my question was, if we are practicing Krishna consciousness, even being in material world, we might face ups and downs even in Krishna consciousness. Then how do we face the constant bliss that is coming out of the eternal, or it is mentioned that they experience the constant eternal bliss. They enjoy the nectar even in this life.
Yes, because gradually, as we practice more and more our devotional life, we become purified more and more. We are less and less influenced by the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. We are coming closer and closer to transcendence. Just like a iron rod, when kept in the fire, becomes red hot. And at one point, it is non-different from fire. You take it out and it will act just like fire. Same way, Srila Prabhupada gives an example. Just as an iron rod kept in a fire becomes as red hot as the fire, we will become more and more Krishnaized as we continue to stay in the fire of purification of Krishna consciousness, and we will then no longer be influenced by the three modes of material nature, because we will be coming back to our original position of blissful, loving, eternal servitors of Krishna. So even in this material body, we can regain our spiritual position and thus enjoy nectar even in this life. We can attain perfection. It doesn't mean we have to die and then only we'll attain perfection at the time of death. We can
So
become
while
yes.
okay, so when we advance in Krishna consciousness, at that time the three modes, they don't, or gradually they leave their effects on us.
Yes. Yes, because Maya sees that she no longer has to use her trident to push the living entity towards Krishna. We are voluntarily going towards Krishna. She doesn't have to keep on jabbing at us. We are voluntarily taking up more and more our natural position of being pure servitors, 24/7 engaged in Krishna conscious activities. Krishna says, now this person has understood. Leave him alone. Don't torture him. So the more we surrender, the more we engage in devotional service, the more we become absorbed in regaining our position as pure loving servitors of Krishna, less and less and less the material energy will affect us. We will continue to be, doesn't mean challenges will not come. We will face challenges, we will face difficulties, we will face problems, we will face obstacles, but they will no longer trouble us so much because we have become more and more Krishna conscious.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you very much for clearing it out.
Huh?
Thank you very much for clearing this out. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so there's great hope, Namrata. Stick around and become totally blissful.
Yes, very much. Looking forward to.
Yes,
Hare
absolutely.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for the nice class. Can you please elaborate on a little bit about preaching and what difficulties usually we face while preaching?
Yeah, because people do not like to hear this message, because people do not want to be roused from their slumber, because people are so attached to the materialistic way of life. In fact, they insist that that's the best life. What are you talking? Why should I give up all this things which I'm doing? This is very nice. See how much rasa I'm getting out of this. I'm enjoying so much, especially those who are materially successful. It is very difficult to stir them to spiritual life. Why? Because they're enjoying so much rasa. I'm going to horse races. I'm getting so much money through gambling. I'm doing this business and look at my empire. It is expanding. Look at my children. They're all doing so nice. My bank balance is increasing. My position is increasing in society. I'm known as a big philanthropist because with big money, they want to do big charity. And then everybody comes running and folds their hand and saying, oh, big man, you have done so much charity. Now give to this organization, give to that organization. So wealth becomes an intoxicating thing. Wealth becomes very intoxicating. The person starts feeling so puffed up, like, I'm only God. And then when they fall sick or grow old or get diseases or become disabled or become bedridden, then what happens? What happened to the power? What happened to the prestige? What happened to the position? What happened to the money? Now the children have got hold of the empire and they're fighting and quarreling amongst themselves. The poor old man and his wife are left to, fend for themselves. Hardly the children want to come and bother about them. What happened to all the people who were coming, running behind them, asking for money? Everybody leaves them because once the money goes, everyone goes. So what is the point of all these things? And or even if you go on and you manage to become rich and you, even until old age, you are continue to remain a very rich man, death doesn't care. Death is going to come and everything is going to get snatched away. And you come back again into another body, forgetting everything of the past, starting all over again. This is the reality. But if you try and tell them that, they don't want to hear this. So they become enemies. They say, oh, this Hare Krishnas, they are just, time pass people. They don't work. They don't have a job. They just sit around and they, they chant all the time. What they get out of this chanting, only they know. They are not doing anything to make the world a better place. We are not interested in making this world a better place. We want to get out of this place. But that doesn't mean we are neglecting. Food for life is going on. We are giving so many free meals to millions of people. Any disaster, Hare Krishnas are there to give help, to give relief. It's not that we are neglecting all these things, but they don't want to see all that. So preaching to people who are inimical to Krishna consciousness is actually not a good idea. Krishna himself says in the Gita, this message should not be preached to those who are envious. So those who are envious will never accept it. They will never understand and they will never appreciate. Why? Because they are envious of the Supreme Lord. Only those who are a little bit innocent and little bit wanting to hear, there is some chance we can preach to them. Still, the preacher takes a lot of risks in an open class. We don't know what all people come and what all, varieties of people are there. But still, the preacher is so merciful that he takes the risk of preaching this message to everyone and anyone, simply because his heart is so full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. He wants to deliver them and bring them to real life, real happiness. So he tries everything to get it into their heads Don't waste your time in this material world. Wake up to the reality that your body will deteriorate and die. And you are not this body, you are eternal soul. Wake up. Come to Krishna. Go back home. That's what he tries to tell the people, but people don't appreciate. Does that stop the preacher? No, he just goes on. Did Srila Prabhupada stop? He went on. So we should not get deterred by all these things. We should go on because we know the Supreme Lord is very pleased. Never mind whether these people are pleased or not. Krishna is very pleased when the preacher takes trouble to preach his message. He becomes very pleased with the devotee. I hope that's helpful.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, thank you so much. Usually, it's very difficult to talk to people sometimes. Yeah, they don't even want to listen to you or change the topic. Like, yeah, and also one more thing I had tried to ask, I forgot. Sorry, Mataji, I forgot. When I remember, I'll ask you again.
Okay.
Devotees, if you have any questions, please go ahead.
Prabhupada said very many times, preaching is a thankless task, but yet the preacher must continue to preach.
Yeah, I now remember. Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji.
No, you can ask the question. I can.
Okay. So, yeah, usually some devotees I saw that they don't incline towards preaching. They always do their own bhajana and their own services and just keep quiet. That's all. So, is that a good practice, Mataji?
Yeah, we are all at different levels. The Kanishta Adhikari, he just sees, Krishna in his deity form. He doesn't really see Krishna in everyone. That's the Kanishta level. He's not interested in making friendship with other devotees. He just is focused on Guru and Krishna, and that's all. He thinks he's the greatest. Neophyte means I know everything. I'm very great. That is Kanishta Adhikari. We are all like that. No, at one point we think, oh, I know everything in Krishna consciousness. I don't need anyone. I don't need anything. But then slowly we realize, oh no, I don't know anything. I need help. But that's the next stage. It takes time to move from Kanishta to Madhyama. Madhyama sees Krishna in everyone's heart. He's very compassionate with the fallen conditioned souls. He tries to preach. He tries to uplift them. He's friendly and kind towards everyone. And that is the preacher, the Madhyama Adhikari. That's the next stage. The Uttama Adhikari is the highest of all. So there are people at different levels, and some of them are not inclined to preach. But ours is a preaching movement, actually. Ours is a preaching movement. And Prabhupada said, everyone must try to come up to the second stage. Everyone. Everyone must try somehow or the other to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya. If they don't want to directly preach, then they should invite saintly people to conduct home programs and invite saintly people to preach. I may be very introverted. I may be very shy. I may not like to speak very much. That's all right. I may not be a speaker, but we can preach through our actions, through our lifestyle, through our Krishna conscious practice. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, we preach, and sometimes we use words. So there are many ways of preaching. It doesn't mean we must only speak. There are many ways of preaching. So they can distribute books, they can hold home programs, they can offer donations to traveling saintly people who are preaching the message of Krishna consciousness. There are so many different ways to preach. But preach we must. In some way or the other, we must try to bring other conditioned souls to Krishna consciousness. This is the least we can do to please Prabhupada. You know what Prabhupada said? If at all you feel indebted to me, then preach as vigorously as I do. Yeah, Prabhupada said this. Of course, no one can preach as vigorously as Prabhupada, but this is what he wants, that in our own small, humble way, we try our level best to spread Krishna consciousness, because he has given us so much. He has given us so much. We have become so fortunate, and it is his order. Now you go and make the unfortunate fortunate. You have become fortunate. You make the others who are unfortunate fortunate. So devotee becomes very compassionate and tries to give this message to others. So if we are just doing our own little thing in the house and, doing our Krishna consciousness at home, but we are not sharing the message with others, we must reflect. I've become so fortunate. How can I help others? And there are always ways and means to help others. It just needs little introspection, little thoughtfulness, and we can do it. Is that all right?
Yes, Mataji. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was talking when you were asking a second question. I was saying preaching is a thankless task, but yet the preacher must go on preaching. Why is it a thankless task? Because the preacher speaks what people need to hear, not what they like to hear. A preacher will not flatter. A real preacher will not flatter people and say, yes, yes, very nice, very nice. He will come straight to the point and say, don't waste time in this material world. What are you doing? Wake up. Things like that. Sadhu means very heavy. Guru means very heavy. And people don't like to be jerked out of that illusion they are in. They want to continue in the same old ways. So they don't like preachers.
Yeah, that's the main challenge, Mataji. How much we have to speak for people, like how much strictly we have to speak and how much lenient we should be, like that. It's hard to judge, right, in some circumstances.
Yeah, preaching has to be according to time, place, and circumstances. And Guru Maharaj has told me again and again and again, do not waste your time with those who do not want to hear. There are so many hundreds of people out there who want to hear. Because I also tried so hard for so many years to talk to my family, to talk to my close relatives, this, that, nobody is interested. So as long as we are trying to preach to those who are not interested, it's like banging your head against a wall. Who gets hurt? You get hurt. It's just very, very difficult because first and foremost, at least in my case, Guru Maharaj said, they're only going to see you as, their daughter or just a young, they saw you in diapers and they fed you with the bottle. So what do you know? That kind of mood is always there when you're the baby or the child of the family trying to speak to others. So they will not be inclined to hear from you. But I can tell you one thing, as long as you go on sincerely in your practice, Krishna will send somebody to them, and that somebody they will listen to, who is a devotee, I mean. So somehow or the other, Krishna will try to deliver them also, even if we cannot directly preach to them, because he knows they are so dear to you. Therefore, they become dear to him. So Krishna will send someone to speak and they will hear from that other person. They will not hear through us. That's how sometimes it happens, that relatives are approached by some other devotee in some other place and they find it, oh, wow, this person's classes are so nice, this person's lectures are so nice, and then suddenly they become devotees and you think, my gosh, for 20 years I've been saying the same thing, but they didn't hear me. And now suddenly they're hearing, Mother Narayani or Gaur Gopal Das or somebody and feeling inspired. But that is Krishna. Krishna is seeing your sincere desire to deliver them, and he's sending the appropriate person into their lives whom they will listen to. So don't worry, just go on with your spiritual practices. Krishna has a plan for each and every one.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice question. I've also grappled with this for many, many years, and finally I have made peace. Said I'm never going to make a difference in their lives. The only thing I can do is try to please Gurudev, and who says, preach, preach, preach. So now I just go on preaching wherever I can. I said the rest is in Krishna's hands. What to
Yes,
do?
Mataji. Yeah, you are very inspiring. Hope I'll be always with you, so that I'll always be energetic like you and preach everywhere.
I don't know about me. I think you should be near Vishwarup Prabhu. He is a really inspiring preacher now. I have to tell you more about him. We went on Nashik Yatra. Such an inspiration. I was just telling Namrata, looking at him, I'm thinking, what have I done all these years? Nothing. So they're very great devotees in our movement, Srimati. You don't have to bother about me. You can look at great inspirational figures who are really doing something in our movement. I'm just a little ant in front of them, honestly.
Yeah, maybe. Yes, Mataji.
Namrata has raised her hand. Go ahead, Namrata.
Hare Krishna. So I was just recollecting what you said about the family. I just want to share one experience which is really, fitting here when you say that uh, you maybe you're preaching them, but they don't listen to you. But then if you continue practicing your Krishna consciousness with sincerity, Krishna sends someone else. So this happens, I mean, not at a higher level, but I'm seeing that in my father. So in before few days, uh, I went to my father's place, and then I didn't preach him anything. Then he came up and sent me a forward of he sent me a forward, and it was Gaur Gopal Das. I'm like, okay, you're listening to him. So he's like, oh yes, I do listen to him. He's a very good motivational speaker. Like, okay, so that's how I understood that yes, Krishna does send some help in some way or so whom they want to pick up. So maybe you are not the instrument, but somebody else is. So we just have to keep the patience for that.
Yes, yes, you're so right. You're so right. This example which you have given me is reminding me of something that's happened right close to home for me. You see, I was always very keen that my daughter gets initiated by our Guru Maharaj, starts chanting 16 rounds, starts becoming serious, this, that, and all. And of course, they have their own way of doing things. But just recently, she started sharing with me that she listens to Sachinandan Maharaj. She likes his lectures. She follows him on Instagram. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, somewhere something is happening. So when we just give up, throw up our hands and say, okay, Krishna, I surrender, then Krishna does, his magic. So don't lose hope, Srimati. Krishna has got it all under his control.
Thank you, Mataji. So, any more questions or comments?
We have so many people online. We have Tirtha Kirti Mataji. We have Krishna Balaram Das from ISKCON Nashik. Scarlett Mataji, Valentina, Prema Bhakti, Alka and Shailesh. We have Vishwa Pavani. We have Balaji. It would be nice to see everybody. Maybe you can put on your camera if it's possible. If you have no difficulty, that would be nice. But if not, it's okay. Jai, there's Prema Bhakti. Prema Bhakti yaha hoite avidya vinashaya te vede gaya hara charito. So Prema Bhakti, your name is there every day in Guru Vandanam prayers when we sing.
Everyone says that as well over here. But Mataji, your lectures are really nice, on point. As I said, they're always on point for everybody. Good surgery, Mataji. Yeah.
Thank you for your kind words of encouragement.
Like what you're saying as well, that if Prabhupada wasn't here, what would we do? Well, what situation would we be in?
Right. Just think. Oh my gosh. Can't even imagine. I don't think I'd even be alive here. So true.
You're the right mess. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, Mataji, I think there are no more questions. We can end the call here. Anyway, it's 1 hour. Thank you so much, Mataji, for doing this class. Thank you so much, devotees, for joining. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sorry, I'm not able to turn on my camera. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Srimati, for engaging me in service to Guru and Krishna. Thank you for encouraging me to do this class. And thank you all devotees for coming on the call and encouraging me. So appreciative of each and every one of you. Please give me your blessings to do more and to do better for Guru and Krishna. That's all I humbly beg from every one of you. Please bless me. That's all.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.